Howdy, folks. More stories from the dealership. So, this one took a lot of head scratching to figure out. Had a customer that had a 2010 to 2012 Ford Fusion. I forget the exact year. Pretty low model car. Um, they bought it used, private sale from a older gentleman that just wasn't driving that much, and he had another vehicle. I think it was his wife's car, and she passed away, so he got rid of it. They brought it in for their normal service work, and I think they had a recall on it or a warranty repair on it. The biggest problem out of that generation of Fusion was the electronic throttle bodies would fail out. You'd end up going into reduced engine power or have just above idle engine power available. A lot of times it would limit your top speed to somewhere around 40, and there's no telling when it would go into this mode. Sometimes it would reduce it to idle. I was never in one that had that specific problem, so I couldn't tell you what it did in that specific vehicle. I did have an electronic throttle body fail one time on me, and it sent the engine straight to idle. And thankfully I was able to cycle the key while I was still going down the road, because I was in no place to pull off and get it to reset. Just I did that enough just to get myself home. 0 stars, wouldn't recommend. Well, anyway, this car came in with a failure that I'd never seen before, and I've never seen one since. Uh, a lot of modern cars, especially smaller vehicles, I think the only ones that Ford has that doesn't use this is their Super Duty trucks. Use an electronic power steering rack instead of hydraulic. There are several perks to it from an efficiency standpoint and from a weight standpoint. The only trade-off is it is a different steering feel. That's the trade-off. Well, anyway, vehicle comes in and the electronic power assist steering has failed. They got going down a hill. The customers, they lived right at the top of this hill, and it was very steep going down, little windy 2-lane road. The power steering failed on the hill. They got down to the bottom of the hill, restarted it, it worked. Bring it in. We cannot duplicate the concern. Vehicle's under warranty. We consult with Ford. They say replace the steering rack. Okay, it was not a serviceable part. Like, you couldn't take it apart and replace the motor or the drive belt, the sensors, anything. You can't do anything of that. They just sell it as a complete assembly. So, replace the steering rack in this vehicle. Sure enough, about 2 weeks later, they were driving down that same hill, and it does it again. They lose power steering. So it's full manual steering. They are going downhill on the brakes. The vehicle's nose heavy, and they lost all assist. Kind of sketchy, especially where that road was. It was cliffside on one side. Run everything. The same code showed up stored in the steering system. Contacted Ford, replaced steering rack. We put 2 different racks in this thing under warranty, I think. And I'm talking with the customers. Very nice gentleman, very helpful. We're trying to figure out, what's going on here. I'm like, was this vehicle ever wrecked, or was anything ever hurt on it? Did it ever get run up on a curb? Anything like that? No, we bought this from a nice old gentleman. It was his wife's car, all the full spiel, and it was a no accident, one owner vehicle. Huh? It's really weird. And so I'm trying to figure out, trying to get the customers assistance on, anything that could have happened to the car that might have caused it to be doing this. He can't think of anything. I go out, talk to the mechanic that's on it, and we start seeing evidence that this vehicle's been hit. Don't know what evidence. But one of the telltale signs is on the inside of one of the rims in the front. it had paint marker on it. Now, factories do that all the time, and that's to sort through wheel types and which wheels go on which cars, essentially. Giving you the brief rundown on that. But this had very specific lettering on it. It had like 2010, 2012 Fusion SE appearance pack V6 or whatever the info was on it. I don't remember. But the thing is, when you were building those vehicles, they weren't coded that way at the factory, and on top of that, you're building one specific year, not two. So it was just very odd to find that on the inside of this car. And I got with the used car coordinator. One of his jobs is he printed off Carfaxes, and they got tucked in every used vehicle we sold, period. This car had been hit a lot. I think it had been in 3 accidents in its year and a half on the road. A couple of them involved some pretty heavy front end damage. It had the bags out on it. It had a heavy front right hand impact. And this guy was pretty upset about it. He's like, wow. He didn't blame us for anything that we did. We don't pull Carfaxes on service vehicles that came in. The only thing that we do is if it ever did have a branded title, it'll say so. When there's a procedure that you go through to check it, but you'd check a couple things in the Ford system. If it had a branded title, flood car, salvage, total loss, certificate of destruction title, export only title, anything like that, the warranty is all canceled. This vehicle was probably had about everything done to it but be totaled. And the customer was not mad at us for it. He was very upset about this gentleman that he bought the car from. But it never ended up coming back into our dealership. And I don't know what the problem was, but the way that electric steering system's set up, it won't let it damage, apply more torque to components than they're rated for. So if there was something that was slightly amiss in the front end that didn't get replaced in that accident, that was binding under very certain load conditions, it would cause that system to see an over torque, and it would shut down the electronic assist. That was just pretty wild, in my opinion, that someone sold a perfectly good car that had been hit 3 times and never said, hey, it was in an accident, but I took it to such and such a body shop. They warranty all their work. Here's the receipts for everything that my insurance did, blah, blah, blah. I didn't understand why someone would try to get one over like that. That's what I got on this one, folks. Thanks for tuning in. If you buy a used car, at least try to run a Carfax on it. They don't catch everything. But on late model, low mile stuff that's got a lien on it, that's going to have full coverage, they'll know. Thanks.